Hey, how's it going? Welcome to News Act, Monday 31st January 2022. Looking from the papers as always. First up, New York Times, people in Senegal picking plastic out of the trash. Over on the left, Putin. Down the bottom, tennis. Wall Street Journal, tennis. Ukraine, Omicron, Olympics. USA Today, Corona. Suicide has a grip on the army in Alaska and a lot of other armies as well. Grandma from Cuba, quote from Fidel down the bottom. The party does not manage. Rather, it guides, directs, drives and supports. Yes, thank you, Fidel. South Africa, Jacob Zuma's ongoing corruption trial. 18 years on running. Beside that, Operation Tadula. It's a movement of people who are illegally evicting Zimbabweans from their homes and pressuring businesses not to employ Zimbabweans. Pretty worrying stuff. Jerusalem Post, Isaac Herzog, President of Israel and the UAE. Together we will bring security to those seeking peace in our region. Are they seeking peace in the region by dropping peace bombs on the innocent civilians of Palestine and Yemen? Tehran Times, Isaac Herzog and the UAE. The Australian, tennis. The Hindu, ongoing Kashmir crisis. Financial Times, tennis. Head of the world's biggest wealth fund warns inflation will sap returns for years. Oh, boo-hoo, someone please think of the investors. Down the bottom, Russia. The Guardian, Boris Johnson tries to take back control amid party outrage. That's Boris Johnson, still Prime Minister of the UK. It says here, Boris is determined to deflect public outrage with a schedule of high-profile announcements and photo opportunities designed to show MPs he remains focused. Of course, in the words of Peter Thiel, signalling that work is being done is a better strategy for career advancement than actually doing work. Yes, always has been. Times, Russia, tennis, Boris, independent force on top, Ukraine, civil service, fertility, TV, tennis, NHS, Daily Telegraph, Sussex's take on Spotify and jab row. People losing their minds over this. Joe Rogan apparently spreading misinformation on his podcast on Spotify. People like free speech this, free speech that. Look, there's two positions on free speech. Either be for it or against it. Take a side and piss off. This conversation shouldn't really be about free speech. This conversation should be about the fact that mega corporations who exist only to pursue profit are deciding what can and can't be said. Joe Rogan's right to spread disinformation is my right to spread disinformation, okay? Down here, mandatory jobs for NHS workers. They might have to do a U-turn for two reasons. One is they don't know which staff are unvaccinated because they're bad at keeping records. Second one is it probably won't play well for the government. Beside that, tennis. Daily Express, some footballer arrested over rape charges. Boris, Brexit, tennis. Daily Mail, that footballer is arrested. Brexit, Boris. Daily Mirror, two queens for the price of one this morning. Day one of a fascinating series to celebrate the Platinum Jubilee. Teeing up now for months of royal propaganda coming down the line. Can't wait. The Queen, of course, still the mother of Prince Andrew, involved in an ongoing court case regarding allegations he raped an underage girl. Was trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein. The paedophile billionaire finds here did not kill himself. Or IP. Underneath that, the footballer is arrested. Metro, Spotify, Harry, Meghan, Boris, iNewspaper, Ukraine, tennis. Quote here from an Irish actress called Erin Doherty, who said, Princess Anne is really cool. Strange bit of royal propaganda this morning. Don't think she ever met Princess Anne. Daily Star, footballer is arrested. Herald from Scotland, dogs, pensions, tennis. Irish Daily Mail, something about gardens. Celebrity arrested over fake PCR tests. They're not naming who it was, but apparently someone with a large profile at home and abroad using fake PCR tests to travel places. Looking forward to when they name that person so we can give them a good public flogging on Twitter. Irish Sun, same story again. That footballer is arrested. Irish Examiner, Bloody Sunday being commemorated yesterday, 50 years. Down here, Fisherman's Net's global kudos. So I was talking about last week when the fishermen approached the Russians and said, hey, Russia, I know you're thinking of having a live fire exercise off the coast of Ireland, but that's our workplace. It would be better if you didn't do it. And the Russians said, okay, we'll do it, but we'll put a buffer zone between us. And the fishermen said, great, thank you so much. This represents peace in our time, which of course totally mental thing to say. The live fire exercise is still going ahead just now outside of Ireland's economic exclusion zone. This didn't stop Western media getting into a tizzy and reporting it all over the place and people saying things that just are totally mental. Like Mia Farrow came out and said, nobody messes with the Irish. Nobody messes with the Irish. Are you aware of the last 600 to 800 years of Ireland's history? Speaking of the last 600 to 800 years of Irish history, Irish Times, commemoration of the Bloody Sunday victims, 50 years ago yesterday. Let's look at how it was covered at the time. The Cork Examiner, January 31st, 1972, massacre in Derry, 13 civilians shot dead by troops. The number later rose to 14. They shot 26 people, 14 of which died. Down here, IRA pledges to avenge all deaths. That's the provisional IRA. They said, the British Army murdered innocent civilians in Derry today. We leave the world to judge who are the real terrorists. Irish Independent, Derry's Bloody Sunday. Down the bottom here, retaliation threat by the official IRA. So they were the Marxist IRA. They said, we shall be shooting to kill as many British soldiers as possible. And that they did try to do. Beside that, Faulkner blames IRA. So Faulkner was the Prime Minister in Northern Ireland at the time. And he said, let me say this with great sadness but great conviction. Those who organised this march must bear a terrible responsibility for having urged people to lawlessness and for having provided the IRA with the opportunity of again bringing death to our streets. So totally conflating the civil rights movement with the IRA, which they weren't involved with each other. Totally horrific thing to say at the time. He anyway met his death not too long after this, doing what he loved, which was riding around the countryside on a horse, hunting small, defenceless animals, and then brutally murdering them. Rest in peace, I guess. Evening Herald, Bernie belts maudlings. This is about Bernadette Devlin, who's an elected MP for Mid-Ulster at the time. And in the House of Commons, she had witnessed the Bloody Sunday massacre the day before, and she was denied the floor in the House of Commons despite the fact the Parliamentary Convention decreed that any MP witnessing an incident under discussion would be granted an opportunity to speak about it. And then Reginald Maudling, who's the Home Secretary, he incorrectly asserted in the House of Commons that the parachute regiment had fired in self-defence on Bloody Sunday, and Bernadette Devlin, fair play to her, walked across the floor and smacked him in the face.
Do you really think this was the proper way in which to make your protest? And what some
What do you
people
want me
would
to
call
do?
an unladylike and an undemocratic way in the chamber of the House?
Unladylike. There is a young girl whose body was carried out of the bogside this morning. She was shot in the back by the paratroopers. They didn't ask her if she was a lady. Undemocratic. I've already said I was the only person who was there. I was not even allowed to ask a simple question. Undemocratic. 13 unarmed civilians were shot in the back by a murdering group of thugs.
Boris is still the Prime Minister, Andrew is still the Duke of York, and Julian Assange is still in jail at Her Majesty's pleasure without fair trial or due process in the maximum security Belmarsh prison. If you want to stay off corporate, state, social media for the day, just click the link in the description. Alright, thanks, good luck.